What up, Panther Nation? It is your boy, Big Tasty, a.k.a. the freaking Puerto Rican, live from the low country of South Carolina, the Charleston area. We have part 2 of our Don't Mock the Draft decided, or also known as the mock draft that broke Google Hangouts. I'm here tonight with my 2 favorite people in the whole world that don't live in my house. Touchdown, Tony Dunn, the professor. Tell him hello, Tony.
What up, Panther Nation? The grades are in. The professor has put his grades in, and the night is here. The mock draft board has been recreated. I don't think we could do it anymore, or in this case, any better, because we have had a special asset this season with Erin Ford at Panther Drafter. Erin, other than I haven't shown anybody my face yet, now I just switched the camera, so they were looking at Joey's mug when I was talking. Thanks a lot, dude, for joining us and helping us out this season. You have been amazing, and you have really made this Don't Mock the Draft Decided project happen.
Hey, it's my pleasure, guys. You guys have a fantastic website. You do some great things. I'm happy to be working with you.
Well, and it's really, we are hitting, I think, a momentum point with the website, Joey. Things are really starting. We're getting a lot of material up regularly. If we could just get the tech stuff and not do shows out of your in-laws' house. By the way, I think I'm in my wife's bedroom from when she was a child.
Nice.
Look, there's her wedding picture. Our wedding pictures. But we are okay. So I want to ask you guys a couple of questions just to warm up the audience. First, we'll tell them in a second what Don't Mock the Draft decided was. But I got to ask this. I think I might have changed my mind since I was on a show this week. Are you guys just worn out by this process at this point, or do you like the extra time to build up the anticipation? Joe, are you tired?
I am. The draft is an exciting time, and there's I honestly feel that there's been so much hype for this year's draft. I think more so than in years past. I don't know if that's because of the depth of the draft or because of the extra 2 weeks we've had. But it just seems like it's really gone on and on and on. And I'm ready for this night for 8 o'clock to get here and finally happen. Yeah,
I think it's been so long you've grown taller because you are barely in the TV screen.
I think so.
But, Erin, what do you think about the extra time?
I personally love it because to me this is kind of like the non-religious Christmas, right? I mean, this is something you look forward to all year. As soon as it's over, then what? So I mean, come Monday, there's going to be some blues for me. So the longer you drag it out, the better for me.
I'm kind of with you on that in some ways. Like, I'm kind of just tired because it's been a very intensive conversation this season. Yeah. Not because I'm exhausted, I think, by the length of time. And I think you're right. I think that on Monday, the analysts are going to be... See, here's the thing. I won't say draft coverage is easy, but since it's all speculation, you can really do a lot of cool stuff with it and fun stuff with it. But on Monday, we're going to have to start talking about our own rosters.
Yep. Right.
And that is going to be maybe disappointing for some teams and some fan bases. But at the other time, it's going to take some real nuts and bolts. Like, I just feel like ESPN is suited for draft hype. And then on Monday, they're going to be like, oh, we can't think in depth enough to do anything with this.
Right. Well, after the draft, it's going to be all NBA playoffs on ESPN.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that will be good because I'm ready to see Kevin Durant get his mess together.
Yeah, that's all that'll be. And then when training camp starts, we'll get back onto the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with Don't Don't Mock the Draft decided, I think, fits so neatly in with our website, guys, because our whole idea is to build a fan discussion and to have fans control the narrative, since, without us, it's just a kids game. So what we did is we presented everyone, essentially each week we let fans of the website vote for position, and then after they voted for the position for that round, we then put up, or not we, Erin put up a wonderful selection of players, oftentimes real gems that I would have never thought of, for the fans and us. Me and Joey as well voted in this process, to see who we wanted to come to Carolina. And it was really a cool process because I think we got a lot of discussion in the voting process with people on Twitter and things about, why we want this guy. Actually, it almost seemed like the positional polls were the real vicious ones.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the setup, Erin?
Oh, I thought it was cool. I thought giving, taking the approach that all of us are smarter than any one of us. It was a fun process.
Yeah.
Not one person agreed with every decision that we all made, but having everybody can chime in. I think it was a rather unique and special type of process, so I really enjoyed it.
And to add to that is that the one thing that, look, and you have enough draft knowledge to potentially do something like this, but I certainly don't have the depth of knowledge to really write a long-term mock, especially 7 rounds, to where you are developing a real. I mean, I think a lot of people on the internet, I think a lot of people on ESPN, I think a lot of people for the Charlotte Observer, they just they just pick 6 names and just guess. And I know it is guesswork, but I think they try to I think they're kind of haughty-taughty about their mock draft. So I think this one was really organic and genuine. So, Joe, what did you think about the process?
I thought it was fun more than anything. It really got the fans involved. Everybody has their own idea of the way that the draft should go, but this way allowed you to see, to vote for your options and see if your mock draft is, popular amongst other Panther fans. And like you said, it came down to the position polls being more of a battle than the actual players polls. And it was fun. I think that was the main thing, that it got people very involved. It got us thinking about the draft, and like you said, it got us more familiar with some of the late round picks that we had never heard of.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump right into it. Guys, the first round we put up, I think the positions we put up were offensive tackle, wide receiver, cornerback, and was there a fourth one? For our first round for positional poll. Either way, it really came down to this, is that the poll, I remember, and I'm going to pull it up right now. I can pull up the results, is that in the first rounds we did vote for, it was offensive tackle, wide receiver, and cornerback. So why do I ever second guess myself? An old man told me once that he was wrong once, and it was for thinking he was wrong. I think I just proved that statement correct. But offensive tackle, wide receiver, cornerback. This is a really bitter debate among Panther fans. Erin, the fans voted 88 to 59, 60% in favor of wide receiver. Were you pleased as a draft analyst, or do you think that we might have made a mistake?
Well, I think I'm kind of torn on it, right? I mean, on the one hand, you got to get that big athletic big man to protect Cam Newton's blindside. You don't want to settle and take a second-rate left tackle. So
right.
Part of me says go that way. But on the other hand, there's nothing sexier than a guy that runs a 4.33 40 catching touchdowns on Sunday. So I'm going to be excited if the draft turns out the way Panther fans have said they wanted it.
Yeah, and this process really took. I mean, we knew that it was going to be like this. We knew the process was going to take 2 months. This literally took us 2 months almost to do,
Yeah.
and we didn't miss a beat. I don't feel like. I feel like we were getting the polls up on time. I would send this. You would get it, and you would shoot it right back. We would have it up, and it was just rolling, rolling, rolling. And so that was right after the combine. And while Brandon Cooks really still seemed to be in the reasonable reach of the Carolina Panthers, maybe that's changed a little bit. But to give it away, actually, we'll go ahead and talk about that, is who was on the clock for us. Panther fans had the ability to choose between Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Cooks, Jordan Matthews, Allen Robinson, and Devontae Adams in this poll. And they surprised me a little bit. And you mentioned this, I think, in your post, Erin, is that you were you were kind of impressed with their pick, because I was on that Odell Beckham Jr. train because he came out of the combine just scorching hot. But the fans, 40% in voting in first was for Brandon Cooks. 34 surprisingly fell to Jordan Matthews, and then 30% of the votes went to Odell Beckham Jr. So Brandon Cooks won by 6%. Tell us a little bit about this pick, Erin. What do you think about it? I know you're excited about it, but give us a little insight into why.
Well, hey, let me first say that any of those other receivers are going to make great picks too, right? I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, that guy is a freakish athlete, and I'd be excited to see him too. Jordan Matthews' work ethic is off the chart, a cousin of Jerry Rice's. So he would be a great pick too. But the reason I love Brandon Cooks, whose nickname is Mach 7, he would just bring excitement. He's Steve Smith Part 2. And something that makes him unique to the others is not just a blazing fast speed, 4.33 40, right? But he's got that cat-like quickness too. He's got that ability to shake off of to shake a defender and get open. He knows how to get open, and then once he gets the ball, he's gone. If you remember Steve Smith in his prime, one of his best routes was a little smoke screen, right? A little smoke route where the defender's playing back off of him, and the receiver just steps back and throws it to him behind the line of scrimmage, and it's
Right.
like a return, and he's gone. Well, if you watch game tape of Brandon Cooks, that jumps off the screen at you. As fast as he is, defenders are going to back away from him. He's going to open up that smoke screen. We'll throw it out to him. He's going to be gone. And something that he's going to do with that kind of speed is he's going to make the safeties play deep, which all that's going to do is help double trouble, right? It's going to help in the running game. If we can also get some blockers, it all works together. So I love the guy. And another reason I would really, really be happy with this pick is the kid loves football, right? His father died when he was 6 years old. He grew up in a very impoverished household with several brothers that when their father passed away, his brothers were in street gangs, selling drugs. Some of them were in prison. This guy turned to football, and it kept him straight and kept him off the streets, and he realizes that. And quite honestly, I've seen where he feels like if he can make it to the big time in the NFL, he can get his brothers to start coming to the games. It'll keep them out of trouble and change his whole family dynamic. So I love somebody who's really motivated deeper than just the money and just the fame. And Brandon Cooks has got it. So it's a great pick.
That's a great story. On top of being a tremendous athlete, he's motivated for the right reasons.
Right. So
Joey, tell us what you think about this pick.
I think this is a fantastic pick if it only can come to be. Honestly, I was inclined to vote offensive tackle in the poll myself. But I would be completely satisfied with Brandon Cooks coming in. He would change the dynamic of our offense significantly. He is a home run threat. And he is Steve Smith 2.0. He really is. He has that same breakaway ability. And that's something that our offense has been sorely lacking. Our receivers have been sorely lacking. So I would be thrilled with that.
Is that I guess the only thing that worries me about this is that how absolutely tiny he is. And you cannot. I just worry that if in the NFL, if he gets hit hard, in fact, I'm going to show you guys something and tell me if you guys can see this on my cam. Oh, there it was. Did you see that? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. This is. So I'm going to show you guys some highlights of Brandon Cooks. Look at this guy. He is crazy fast. But the dudes in the NFL are going to
crazy fast.
Yeah. So you're not going to be all alone like this. But here's what I'm worried about. This play coming up right here. And can you guys see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the play. Here it goes. Boom. Dead. In the NFL, that kid might be dead right there.
I think somebody said that to Steve Smith and Deshaun Jackson at one point.
Right. That's very true. That's very true.
So if I guess the screen share just went out, didn't it? But this guy.
My concern is, and Tony, you have a point. You have a point. Steve Smith was small in stature, but he had the heart of a lion, and he made that clear. He played with his he wore his heart on his sleeve, so you always knew where, you always knew he was going to bring it. I haven't seen enough of Cooks to know whether or not he is that same type of moxie, or really it's an attitude. He doesn't come across to me as having that same sort of attitude as Steve Smith. Like, I got to prove myself. It was always the case with Steve Smith. Erin, maybe you can address that. Does he have that same chip on his shoulder that Steve Smith did?
I don't think anybody has as much as Steve Smith did. Okay. Right? I mean,
fair enough.
But remember how Smitty used to bang his helmet when he'd get up after a catch, just out of excitement. This kid does the same thing, and he loves football. So right. I'm personally not too worried about that. Now, what I would say, if I were playing devil's advocate, and for the benefit of this show, I'll call it, because we know the devil really resides in New Orleans, we'll call it the Saints advocate.
There you go.
If you want to play the Saints advocate, the Sharp Observer said and pointed out that 9 out of 10 of the top wide receivers in the NFL today are 6'3" or above. Brandon Cooks is 5'10".
Right.
That would be the argument not to draft him. But I tell you what, guys, the punt return abilities, the excitement he'll bring to Bank of America, I think he may not be a top 10 wide receiver, but he's going to be something.
Yeah, and just the last point I want to make on Brandon Cooks that I think in his favor is, well, he attacks. When you watch his highlights, you see guys, and Joey, you brought this up to me. I think you were the first person that kind of taught me this about receivers when I was young, is that you have to attack the football. You don't let it come to you.
Right.
I mean, you go get that thing. You climb the ladder, and you go get it. And I know he's little, but he goes, and when I say, like, he attacks it on the catch. He attacks it as soon as he gets the ball. And moving his feet quick, looking downfield. That's another good thing you can look at for guys going to the next level, is how quick they're looking to make the play naturally. And he seems to have that. I am with Erin on this. I think it would be great. Now, I don't think it's going to happen.
I think he's going to be gone, unfortunately. But, hey, we didn't think Star Lotulelei was going to be there either.
Sure. True. And here's the thing that worries me, even if it was possible. You know who picks right before us?
The devil.
The devil. That's right. The devil does. The Saint. And imagine Brandon Cooks on turf in Sean Payton's offense. Scary. That's like my worst nightmare. In fact, so we've got to we should almost just trade up for the very fact of keeping him out of New Orleans.
Oh, man, my worst fear tonight is Atlanta goes up and gets Clowney. We got to face him twice a year with Brandon Bell blocking him, and Brandon Cooks goes to the Devils. So.
Yeah, I think that is a legitimate fear to have. So. Okay, so let's go on to the next rounds of Don't Mock the Draft decided. The fans had a lot of choices of where to go, And I felt like they did go with kind of a standard. I was a little surprised. I was hoping for like 2 wide receivers back to back or 2 offensive tackles, but they kind of picked it. I thought they picked it pretty vanilla and straight. We gave them the opportunity to choose between a wide receiver, cornerback, offensive tackle, and a safety. And after they saw that we went with Cooks, and I think that helped a lot of the people that were concerned about the receiver problems, they went ballistic, and 90% of people picked offensive tackle, almost 90%. So when we gave them, when those came back, Erin, you gave them the opportunity to select between Billy Turner of North Dakota State University, Cyrus Cujo, because I can't pronounce his name, from Alabama, Jack Mehort from OSU, Joel Petonio, who has been moving up draft boards, and that makes me very nervous, and Chantrell Henderson. And the guys picked Jack Mehort. What did you think about the fans' pick of offensive tackle from Ohio State University, Jack? Do you say Mehort? Mehort.
Mehort. You know, quite honestly, a disclaimer, I voted for Billy Turner, right? I love Billy Turner. It's a kid that didn't give up a single sack last season, and he's a mauler. But, as we said before, all of us are smarter than any one of us. So, got to trust Panther Nation here with Jack Mehort. Some great things about him, all right? The guy's 6'6", 310 pounds.
That's good.
With the exception of center, he's played every single position along the offensive line, so he's extremely versatile. He could come in and play left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard, which with the injuries that happen in the NFL, that's key. He was a team captain, which fits in with the Panthers' philosophies. Brandon Cooks was a team captain as well. Jack Mehort was the last person introduced on Senior Day for Ohio State, which traditionally is reserved for the top player on the team, right? And there's some talent on that Ohio State team.
Oh, there's a lot. And they also, to piggyback on that, is not only is there a lot of talent with, what's the guy's name that was from Florida? Their coach. That's Urban Meyer, who's there, who runs a very kind of pro-oriented offense, I feel like. But there is a lot of history with Ohio State. So I feel that captain position means a lot.
It does.
At that university.
And Urban Meyer said that Jack Mehort's toughest kid he's ever coached.
Holy moly.
So, you know, I mean, the guy, he's not the most elite, he's not elitely gifted. He's not the best athlete in the world, but man, he is a tough-nosed dude that's going to get out there and fight for you every day. And I think we would love the guy if he's here. We'll see.
Now, I think that this was a good pick, but talk about really being a wise pick, because Chantrell Henderson got popped for smoking pot at the combine. I mean, he might as well have been smoking doobies and then running his 40.
Maybe he played for Denver or Seattle.
Yeah, that's what it would take. Maybe we can get him in the 7th now. But he's had such a litany of problems. I was hoping that, you know, that was kind of a college thing and that you were going to get a kind of taste of the big leagues and you would be ready, because he is a beast of a man, that dude. But
well, we all remember Ricky Williams, right? I mean, it took him 3 years to get the pot smoking out of his system. So maybe the same thing will happen for Chantrell.
Yeah. Maybe. But come on now, look, is that you can take a day off. I mean, just one damn day, buddy. But, I mean, I know it's more than that. But, you know the combine is coming. If you know you're having the most important job interview of your life, do something else, man. Whatever you do, I mean, do something else for just a little while and think about all the big bags of weed he could have bought with all that money that he conned out of somebody. But, you lost it, and you didn't lose it to Carolina. So
I'm just glad that the Panthers fans didn't, and that was before this pick, right? So
yes, right. Yeah, that was where the wisdom seemingly came in. What do you think about, would adding a guy like Jack Mehort be as close in value, Aaron, is if we had drafted, say, a Morgan Moses at 28. How big of a drop-off are we talking about between this list of guys, the Joel Bitonio? Now, I have to say, disclaimer here, his name is showing up in first-round mocks right now, and that's kind of worrisome. But I think the Cujo guy actually wouldn't be a bad pick. Is that I think that his knee problems might be a little overhyped. But how big of a drop-off is there between guys like Billy Turner, Cujo, and Jack Muir, and that Zach Martin dude and Morgan Moses Malone?
Well,
sorry, that's my name for him.
or as our guys on Twitter like to call him, Momo.
Momo. Oh, that's right. Our boy, Chocolate Wonderland, Begasu26, Willie P. Also, I know every name he's got. He calls him Nomo.
Momo. That's right. But he wants to take Benjamin in the first round too. So take it for what it's worth. Sorry, Chocolate.
Good point.
But from somebody like a Zach Martin to a Jack Muhart, there is a big drop off. Right? I mean, I think you got maybe 4 elite tackles in this draft. You've got Matthews, who's the son of Bruce Matthews, right, the Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a lock.
You've got Greg Robinson, who is an absolute freak of nature beast. I would love to get him.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then you've got Taylor Lewan out of Michigan, who is he's probably going to Atlanta, and he's a great left tackle. And then you've got Zach Martin from Notre Dame, who is a little bit undersized, but he's about the same size as Jordan Gross, but he's elite. So, I mean, I really think those guys are the creme de la creme. Now, then you get into the second tier of guys, which I think all those folks that you mentioned fall into that. All the Cyrus Kwanjo, who, quite honestly, if I'm the Panthers and the doctors tell me his knees are okay, I'm taking him. The dude.
James Andrews said that his knees, he's cleared, and like the health worry scale, I think, is between a 1 and 4 or 0 and 4. And
I would take him. I would.
But at 20, at 60.
No, in real life, I'd take him at 28.
Okay.
I think the reason he dropped down into the 60 range is questions about his knees. But if his knees are clear, I'm taking him high.
Joey, how do you feel about that?
I think if Dr. James Andrews says yes, then we got to do it. I mean, if he says the knee's good, he's world renowned for his surgical abilities.
He's getting on my nerves, though.
He's everywhere.
He's becoming a superstar. You know, he's operating on the dude that I think he's like operating on this kid that threw his arm out at our local college, who was our ace pitcher. So get Tommy John surgery or something.
Okay. Well, he's world renowned for his cutting ability. You know, it really is. So if he says it's okay, I mean, he was a first rounder prior to all the concerns over the knee, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's take him. I mean, if he's there,
all SEC.
Right.
Yeah.
If he's there, I mean, the SEC is the NFL minor leagues.
That's right.
I mean, it is what it is.
If you put this guy beside Morgan Moses, say we picked him say we go against the Don't Mock the Draft decided, and Gettleman tells the fans once again to screw off, which he will tonight like 3 times.
This weekend he will. You're going to ask, who is that, a couple of times.
If we have that, what do you think? I mean, if you have Morgan Moses Malone, sorry, I'm going to call him that, Momo, and you've got the Cyrus Cujo side by side, on a healthy day, how much better is Cujo than Nomo?
I think he is better. We'll put it that way. He plays with a nasty streak. He'll get out to the second level, knock the linebacker down, and then drop an elbow on his head for fun. So that's the kind of guy I like, right? And he's going to get out there and play with a nasty streak. So he is better. you got an all-SEC starting left tackle in Quanjo, and you've got a third all-ACC left tackle in Momo, which I like Momo. The guy's a dancing bear. He's got incredibly long arms. I would be excited with him coming. But if you're going to give me a choice between third all-ACC and first team all-SEC, I think it's a no-brainer, assuming the knees are okay.
Is it Cujo's skill set is more developed? I mean, it's not different. It's just he's more of a refined tackle than Morgan Moses Malone.
Well, he's played left tackle longer, right?
Okay.
I mean, Momo played right tackle for 3 years, and then switched over and played. Now, 506 snaps in the passing game. He gave up 2 sacks.
That's Nomo, right?
That's Momo, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He gave up 2 sacks. He led them to the first 1,000-yard rushing season since 2004 when DeBreckashaw Ferguson was there. Hey, I mean, he's not going to be a bad pick either. So he's better. I wouldn't say he's light years ahead, but I would go.
All right, because this will speed up a little bit as we get towards the later rounds, so we can speak heavily about rounds 1 through 4. But this brings up a question to me, and that is among the Panther analysts, the guys like Frank Garcia, the guys like T-Bone from WF, the Mac Attack, they want us to trade up for a wide receiver. And what's his name? Freddie Garcia has said it's worth jumping all the way up to get Sammy Watkins. If that's the case, and I know a lot of people are saying that an offensive lineman addition would be just as beneficial as adding a Sammy Watkins to our team, why hasn't anybody mentioned trading up for a guy like Zach Martin? Or do teams ever do that?
Well, it's the sex appeal factor. That's what it is. You know, I guarantee you, if we pick Zach Martin, Twitter's not going to explode with excitement. But if we get Odell Beckham Jr. or let's say Sammy Watkins or Mike Evans, somebody like that, Twitter's going to erupt. So it's the excitement factor of why that is. But if you can't protect your guy, it doesn't matter who the receivers are.
Agreed.
Okay. So what we want to do is if we get, like, say, Odell Beckham Jr., could Carolina Panther fans break Twitter like C3 broke Google?
I don't know, man. You're pretty good at that. That would be tough to replicate.
Okay.
Aaron,
So
to take that, what you just said a little further, I heard today or yesterday about a statistic about Cam Newton. It was either, I think it was the most sacks since he's come into the league, that he's been sacked the most of any NFL quarterback since he has come into the league.
That's kind of sad, isn't it? I mean, I think he's been sacked as many times in some ways as our boy Michael Jackson, David Carr. Remember? Do you remember when he was? Yeah, with the one glove. Do you remember when he was in Houston? They like ruined his mind. Like he couldn't. He was a good player, and then all of a sudden he just lost. Like he needed to go see a sports psychologist because he. Yeah, he became intimidated. And I always say this. My nickname for him, and this is terrible, was Bedwetter. Because I felt like anytime a fat person walked in the room, he would just pee his pants. But, okay, so, yeah, I mean, so, Joey, are you then, let's put it to you, as a fan, do you want to see the Panthers climb the ladder and go after Taylor Lewan or Zach Martin tonight?
I mean, if the situation, if it didn't hurt us too much.
It's going to hurt. You're going to have to give up 2 picks, at least. Right. You're going to have to give up your first and probably a first from next year.
No, I think that's too steep of a price to pay.
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, this draft is the deepest draft I've seen in almost 20 years. So I'm not giving up any picks.
Okay.
I think you're going to get great value where we are. As a matter of fact, I think in an ideal world we trade down and pick up a couple of picks.
Do you guys think that happens tonight? I think that it's becoming a more real possibility as quarterbacks in the late first and early second might be a higher commodity.
Something to keep an eye on tonight is if there's a couple of good quarterbacks available once we get into the 20s, let's say Derek Carr and maybe Johnny Manziel or Teddy Bridgewater are still there in the 20s, our phone's going to be ringing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to be calling us wanting to get ahead of New England and get ahead of Houston and get a quarterback. So maybe Oakland calls us or Jacksonville calls us, and we drop back and pick up an extra third-round pick, which in this draft, you're talking about getting somebody like Billy Turner.
So if we want to accumulate picks tonight, Aaron, do we want to see quarterbacks come off early in the draft? Like, do we want to see like two quarterbacks come off in the top 10, or do we want to not see movement on quarterbacks?
I think you want to see them come off early, and here's why. If you get into the 20s and there's still the top 4 quarterbacks available, nobody's going to feel the pressure to move up. They're just going to sit there and take the one that falls.
Okay.
But if Johnny Manziel goes top 5, Bridgewater goes to Tampa, and
Bortles.
Or Bortles, that's, if that happens and then there's only 2 of the top 4 left in the 20s, I think teams are going to feel the pressure.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope, I want that to happen. I really do, because I like a lot of guys that I think that would be just, I don't like this 28th pick, and I've been on the record for that. So here we go. Round 3, Don't Mick the Draft, the positional prep. The fans voted this time for cornerback, a position that I have been calling for us to address first, because I don't think is as deep in the draft, but there are some really good names out there, and these names have moved a lot in the last 2 months. But this is what Erin at Panther Drafter gave our fans to vote on, and this is Stanley Jean-Baptiste, Keith McGill, Pierre Desir, Marcus Robinson, and Victor Hampton. Now, I'm familiar with I think Keith McGill was like Utah, maybe. Stanley Jean-Baptiste, was he Nebraska?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Marcus Roberson is Florida, and his draft stock has just gone down so much. But who is the guy that won the poll? 60% of the people voted for a guy that no one had heard about before, not before our poll. I mean, we had heard his name just because Mel Kiper had to come up with somebody. He played well in the Senior Bowl, right? He played against Jordan Matthews, I think, and that's where he kind of made his bones. Who is this Pierre Desir, and why did he win, Aaron?
Oh, I got to tell you, man, I'm in love with Pierre Desir. This kid is just you think of what's special about Seattle's secondary: long, athletic, fast. That's the new age cornerback, not the Captain Munnerlins of the world. Which, hey, Jason Verrett, if we get him tonight, I'll be excited. Who's Captain Munnerlin Part 2? But you got to have those tall receivers. Think about it if Tampa Bay gets Mike Evans tonight, 6'4". Pair him up with their already tall receivers that they have, Vincent Jackson.
Yeah.
We got to have some tall cornerbacks, right? 6'1", Pierre Desir. This is a guy that went to Washburn College for 2 years, transferred over to Lindenwood College. Where is that, right? It's out in the middle of Missouri. But this guy dominated at his position. He had 13 interceptions over the last 2 years. He was a man among boys playing out there. 4.52 40. The guy just has it all. Now, it's going to take him, I think in my write-up I said you got to be a little bit patient with the guy. He hasn't faced elite skills or elite competition, but he's going to do nothing but get better in time. And he showed that he can hang with the big boys at the Senior Bowl. He really stood out on tape. So I think you're going to love that pick. Great job, Panther Nation.
I just want to show you guys a little something. This is the guy training right here, 2014. We might get to see a little bit. But here's the thing, as we see some of this, how do we really judge? I mean, how do you judge a guy coming out of a school like this? I mean, won't he always look good?
Well, yeah, I think when you've got somebody playing against lesser competition, you want to see that they dominated. You want to see that they were men among boys. But then you want to see his instincts, what he's playing with, and then you want to see how he reacts at the Senior Bowl throughout the week. He got better and better throughout the week. Coaches really noticed that it was cream rising to the top. Look at that interception right there. I mean, that was just impressive. He
climbing the ladder.
Yep. You know, another thing I love, you remember my story about Brandon Cooks. This guy is born in Haiti. He's over here in the U.S. He's married. He's got two kids. The oldest daughter is 7, I believe. So, I mean, this guy is going to fit in our locker room real well. He's mature. He's like Star Latulele. He's not 20 years old going to the club trying to find his next date. He's all about making a career for himself. So I think his motivation's right. His athletic skill set's there, and he's going to be a good one.
That is the first time I've ever heard someone describe Star Latulele as kind of a Rico Suave dude out there in the clubs.
No, I'm saying he's like Star. We're not going to be out there.
Right.
I maybe said that wrong.
No. I think this is, what I like about this pick the most? I think he's got the physical attributes, right? I'm worried about him not really playing against top-rate guys. But here is what's really cool about this, and what would be great. Does he chase that guy down? That's what he's going to do.
No, he was the one down on special teams laying out that block.
Oh, okay. What I like about this, and what this would be great for Cat Chronicles, is how many awesome articles and names can we write with the name Desire? I mean, I know it's Desire, but it's all your heart can desire or desire. There's going to be a billion of those. So I would buy this dude's jersey just for his name.
Absolutely.
So, okay, moving on. The next thing that we did, guys, is we jumped into the next round. And let me go ahead and try to X out of this stuff. So, what we did is we moved into in the 4th round. I thought that was a bold pick, by the way, by Panther fans. There were some big names there. All right, and one last question about this, and I'll ask Joey this one. Jean-Baptiste and Keith McGill are both huge dudes that are fast. Marcus Roberson comes from a top school. Joey, how did Panther fans pick this one? Are they that wise? I mean, are we that wise? And I would say
they follow Panther Drafter on Twitter.
That's it. That sums it up in a nutshell. Everybody was listening to the sage, the draft sage.
Do you think there was? Do you think he was a hot name at the time we had the poll, or do you think that he really stands out? And you know what? I think Erin convinced me in that spiel of why we should like this guy, because I think there's some question marks surrounding. Isn't Keith McGill like 30? I know he's not 30, but one of those guys is kind of old. And had some, so Joey, do you think this, how did Panthers do this? Was it just by following Erin?
It was probably a combination of the write-up and, doing their own little bit of research. He's got the tools, like you said. The big question mark is, he hasn't done it against elite competition. Did he play at Linwood College? Is that where it was? Yeah, Linwood College.
Missouri. So.
Yeah, they're not playing anybody. So he's going to be, he is going to be a man playing with boys. He's going to stand out as well as he should. If he was just blending in and you couldn't tell, he wouldn't even be in the discussion. But the fact that he is big, he's fast, and he has the skill set, I think convinced Panther fans that, hey, this guy could be legit.
All right. Moving into the 5th round, Panther fans had the option between wide receiver, offensive tackle, offensive guard, defensive tackle, and safety. And under the advisement, I think, of Erin, I think he suggested that we look wide receiver and offensive tackle heavily here. We decided to go with wide receiver at this position. Do you think 4th round wide receiver, this is the time to make that pick, or do you think that Panther fans should have thought offensive tackle here, Aaron?
Oh, man, I think the 4th round is a lot of value for wide receivers. I mean, you got Robert Huron out of Wyoming, and I haven't seen somebody get off press coverage the way that young man does. So I'd be excited to see him as well. I think he's going to be there in the 4th round. And then you've got quite a few other receivers that are going to be available, including the one that we chose, who I would absolutely just be ecstatic if we get Michael Campanaro in the 4th round. I think it would be a great pick. I think he's Ricky Prohl protege. Man, it'd be solid. So I think we made the right choice there.
Okay, and just to kind of give everybody a rundown of who they had to choose from is Michael Campanaro, kind of the hometown favorite, Robert Huron, Devin Street, who I think has a lot of potential as well, yep. Cody Latimer, and now that is not going to be available now. But it was a month and a half ago. Yeah, it really was a month and a half ago. So Michael Campanaro ran away with this 70%. Did we cheat on this one because we were fortunate enough to interview him around the time, or was it just a great find?
I think that had something to do with it, and that was right around the time that there was an article in the Charlotte Observer about Ricky Prohl going to Wake Forest and working this young man out. So I think he was kind of at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Right. It was a confluence of things.
Yeah.
Joey, are you as sold as me and Aaron on Michael?
At this point in the draft, at a 4th round pick, yes, I think he is clearly at least a 4th round talent. Ricky Prohl 2.0. There's nothing.
Wes Welker, Darren Sproles, like to me.
Right. Well, I say Ricky Prohl in the sense of being able to get the first down, holding on to the ball, your possession guy, your go-to guy on 3rd and whatever. He's going to get to the sticks.
Right.
You know, that kind of, that's how I mean in Ricky Prohl. Once you talk to the guy, like we were fortunate enough to do, you can't help but leave pulling for the guy, wanting him to succeed, wishing him all the best in the world because he's just got that type of personality.
Yeah, I just hope he comes because I think he'd be a great guy to be in the locker room. He's just somebody that I think would be on the team for a long time. Right. So moving on to the 5th round.
If you don't mind, let me think about this guy. He broke his collarbone back in November. He missed the final 3 games. He still had 67 receptions. And the closest receiver on the Demon Deacons, you want to guess how many they had?
34.
12.
19.
I was close. Yeah, their offense, as soon as he left, after he hurt himself, Joey, they didn't score for like 3 games or something, or 2 games. They had 3 points in like 8 quarters. He was the motor of their offense. And one other point to follow up on that, broken collarbone in just less than 6 months ago, I guess you would say. And the dude goes to the combine and reps 23 on the bench.
There you go. Tough man.
He's like, you know what though, I will say this, is he likes showing it off a little bit on Facebook. I've been seeing a lot of pictures with him and the girls at the beach and no shirt on. Like, so he's starting to learn that he's like a little blue jean Adonis. But okay, so we moved on to the 5th round. We had offensive lineman, defensive lineman, safety, and cornerback were our options for the Carolina Panther fans, and they went crazy. Actually, no, excuse me. I misspoke. 5th round, linebacker, safety, offensive tackle, defensive end. This surprised me here is that guys were looking to make an addition on the defense and with a linebacker. And I thought after they had picked wide receiver, I thought the natural pick would be go to offensive lineman. Aaron, what did you think about trying to shop for a linebacker this late in the draft? Is that something that can be done And was this a wise move by Panther fans?
Well, the natural inclination is to say, man, we got the best front seven in football. We don't need a linebacker. We've got bigger needs, right? Well, think about it. Thomas Davis is getting up there. He's my favorite Panther, but he's getting up there. He's not going to be here forever. Let's say he got hurt again, God forbid. What does our linebacking core look like then? You got Luke in the middle, but who's anchoring on both sides? You've got to keep your strengths strong. So I think it's a very wise move in the top 5 picks to pick a linebacker that can come in and add some depth and challenge Chase Blackburn and A.J. Klein for some playing time. So I think, to me, it was a smart move. That was my vote, actually.
Okay, so we get Prince Shimbo, right?
That's it.
Tell us a little bit about this guy.
Well, the best thing about Prince is he went to high school at Audrey Kell High School, which used to be in my family. That land used to be in my family, so that's kind of an area that's near and dear to my heart. I lived about 2 miles from there.
Wow.
He started on the varsity football team as a freshman back in 2006.
Wow.
So he's a local hometown hero, right? Goes on to play for Notre Dame. And something I love about this guy is he's versatile, right? He can put his hand down in the dirt, play a defensive end type of a player, and rush the passer. He can set the edge against the run. He can drop back into coverage. Now, he's not an elite athlete. There's a reason he's going in the 5th round. Not the best speed in the world, but extremely instinctive and very versatile. So I think he's an absolutely great pick. There in round 5, and Telvin Smith is not there, who's kind of the trendy pick right now. I think this is a great option to go to, and I'd love to have him back home.
Joey, do you like bringing a guy back to the Queen City like that?
Oh, of course. We always want to have our local boys. I mean, that's why we have this whole series, Backyard Ballers, going on, baby.
Yeah.
The local boys local.
Okay, so we moved on then to the 6th round. Panther fans had an opportunity to try to add some depth to the team, and they go for offensive linemen. 90% of fans voted for an offensive lineman, and I think that with the names you gave us, Erin, if these names are there, I'm worried that we might need to do this in the 5th to get some of these guys, but I loved what we had to pick from. And to give everybody a little heads up on who was there, we had the opportunity to pick from Cornelius Lucas, Charles Leno, Justin Britt, Kadeem Edwards, and then a backyard baller who has been backyard sidelined, and that's Brandon Thomas from Clemson. Am I crazy for liking these names with the injury problems surrounding them, or are these guys some gems late in the draft?
I got to tell you, I think I put it in the write-up. Something I love to do in the 6th or 7th round is take somebody who has slided down the scale because of an injury past.
That's a great idea.
Yep, you let them heal up, give them time, like the 49ers did with Marcus Lattimore last year. Right, he's going to pay dividends. Justin Britt, I think when he heals up, is going to be a great tackle. And man, Brandon Thomas, backyard baller, you guys did a great write-up on him. Give you guys a plug. Some of the write-ups you guys do are the best in the business, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this series with you. Brandon Thomas, he was projected back in January probably to go 2nd round to the Panthers. 2nd round.
Right. Yeah.
He's going to have to take a year off and rehab that knee. Who did he blow it out training with? The New Orleans Saints, right?
There you go.
Well, I was really happy, and Joey, I know you were probably voting for Brandon Thomas in this because that's in your backyard.
That's right.
I mean, literally in your backyard almost. But I actually Facebooked some of my family that's from Kansas, and they got in on this poll.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, because Cornelius Lucas might not be well known on the East Coast, but that guy is freaking huge, and he's played on a team that has been legit for the last 2 years under, it's not Bill Self, that's the basketball coach. His name is, they named the damn stadium after the coach. He came back. Who is the coach of KSU?
The old man, right?
Yeah. Their like team fell apart when they went to, who was that guy? They brought in a coach, and the team kind of went downhill. Bill Snyder, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Bill Snyder, and they brought this guy back in out of retirement, and he took him to like on a national championship run the next year.
Right.
So this Cornelius Lucas dude, tell us a little bit about him, Aaron, in the last couple of minutes, because we got him and one other pick to go.
Well, if you like Cyrus Kwanjo and you like Momo, you like big athletic men, you're going to love Cornelius Lucas. This guy is almost 6'9", 306 pounds.
I told you, man.
He should be in the WWE. I mean, he's just he's a big man. But he's pretty light on his feet, too. The only reason he's really dropping is he's got a foot fracture.
Right.
So he couldn't do the combine thing.
Is it a broken foot or is it a Les Frank injury?
It's a broken foot.
Okay.
Yep. But, you know, he's actually been cleared since then and did a workout for teams just 2 weeks ago and was very impressive. So, to your point, he may not be there in the 6th. It might take a 5th rounder to get this.
Okay.
But, man.
I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with moving on a guy like that because here's the thing is you're not going to put him in and start anyway from day one.
Right.
So you have – why pick a guy that there's a 70% chance won't make the team, and then instead, like you're saying, pick a guy that if he was healthy was 100% chance of making the team. So now his, it's 70% chance of making the team, but it's all based on him getting back in football health. So I love that. I think that is a smart draft strategy, Aaron, and I'm glad you presented that option to the Panther fans. So now, the last bit of this, we're talking, and I had to give you some cred on this, is that when you get to the 7th round, what do you even do? I mean, how do you find these guys? What is going on? In fact, I'm going to let you just go ahead and tell us, how did you do this? And you just handled the 7th. What did we do? What did you give us? What were you thinking when you gave us an opportunity to vote here?
Well, I'm a self-professed football geek, right? I mean, for me, it's God first, family right there second, and then everything else is football.
Nice.
So that's me, right? And hopefully my daughter's out there watching, so if she is, no, you're right there. But
you're just a step ahead of football, baby, just this much.
But don't talk to me on Sundays. No, so I eat and breathe this stuff, and there were some good options there. So it's multiple sources that I go to, multiple sites that I read, sources that I have, college football watching experience. So these are just some players that I think are going to be have a good shot at making it.
Okay, Joey, how did you vote in this poll? How did you pick your positional voting when you voted, Joey? Because what ended up winning was a cornerback, was the position that won. But I'm going to tell you how I voted for position after you go, Joey. So what were you thinking about in the 7th?
Well, it's like Aaron said earlier. You keep your strengths strong. So I knew defense was our strength, but I wanted to look at what was weak on our defense, and the position of cornerback is what I voted for because I felt that is where we could make a big improvement in our defense. And, we signed a couple of guys, Kason, we signed the safety, Harper, but we need someone to come in and be with us for 3, 4, maybe 5 years and develop. We have Josh Norman. I don't know what's going on with him, but I thought cornerback was where we could, maybe shore up, get some depth.
The reason I voted cornerback was one simple thing. It was like I was just thinking, any fat guy was not going to get the vote because I figured this guy, the only thing he's going to do is play on special teams if he ever sees the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured you might as well have someone that can run.
Somebody fast.
Or semi-fast.
Right.
When we got to this, some of these names, I knew one name on this list, honestly, and it was the guy I voted for, Lucius Purifoy,
Right.
and he ended up winning the poll. Am I correct about that?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us this, is that when I surveyed, I did this was probably 5 months ago, I did a write-up of potential cornerbacks that that Carolina might look at, and I did it in groups of first and second round guys, second and third and fourth and fifth guy, and he was I felt like third or fourth back then. Why has he slipped this far, Erin? And tell us a little bit about this guy, because and I'm guessing I know exactly what you're going to say, but tell us, why has he fallen so far?
Well, I like Purifoy, and another strategy I take is somebody who played really good in top-level competition, but doesn't necessarily have all the measurables.
Right.
And that's what Lucius falls into. Two things have made this guy fall down this far. First of all, go back to Brandon Cooks. What was his 40 time? 4.33, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you're going to be defending these blazing fast. Imagine, like you said, if he goes to the Saints, 4.33 on that turf, you better have a fast cornerback.
Right.
Or somebody physical that can get up and press them. Well, Purifoy's 40 time was a 4.61.
Jeez.
So if you've got a 4.61 against a 4.33 on turf, he better be able to get up and press coverage. So he better be strong. How many benches did you say Caponero had? 23?
Yeah.
Purifoy had 6.
He pulled the Tony Dunn bench press record. That's what I think when I was a senior in high school, I was such a scrawny shrimp. I pushed 205 as my max. So, I'm just thinking this. If I went to college and played football, I would have benched 6 at 225. That is, I hate to say it, that's damn pathetic. Joey, who does that remind you of? It reminds me of one guy in the NFL that would say none of that matters. Greatest ever. Neon
The prime time.
Yeah, he would
Prime
say
time.
this, is I don't need any strength. I'm just going to intercept the ball and knock it away. I don't got to tackle anybody.
Right.
He didn't have 6'1" 40 either, though.
No, he didn't. All right.
Ran a 4
This-
240.
Right.
Okay, so we're kind of wrapping it up. Last pick. We just hit the 7 o'clock mark, a little hair over. Last question, though, on this about bringing up that time for Purifoy. A lot is being made of Marquis Lee or Marquise Lee or whatever. It's funny spelled Qise. Marquis Lee,
Yeah.
being the guy for the Carolina Panthers at 28. He ran a 4.6.
Mm-hmm.
Why can that guy be in the first rounds and this guy? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing he's a little stronger, but you were vocal about this today on Twitter, Erin. Is that time does bother you, and it bothers me. Why? What is this mess about game speed and 40 speed?
Well, there is some validity to that, but let me preface it by saying he's not in my top 10 of who I want us to take at 28. Who I think realistically could be there, I would be disappointed. However, there are a lot of Marquis Lee fans out there, and he's a good young kid. He came out of poverty, and he's got a lot to play for too, and he's a good young kid. But he's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. He did deal with some injuries last year, and he played with some down quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
His production, I mean, he had like 700 yards, 683 yards last year, something like that. Wasn't very impressive. But the year before, he lighted it up when he was fully healthy. So he has some upside. Now, the game speed against the 40 time, it really is somebody who can instinctively be in the spots that they need to be in. They know how to take angles. They know how to get open. They know how to break and be slippery. And this guy, once he has the catch, he is special.
So he's the opposite of Ted Ginn Jr. then.
Exactly. That's very true. Antithesis of Ginn.
Okay, so Joey, how about this? I'm going to give you 2 names versus Marquis Lee or whatever his name is, Lee. Jordan Matthews, Allen Robinson versus Marquis Lee. Who do you want?
I'll take Allen Robinson.
Okay. Erin, what do you think about that?
I love Allen Robinson. I wouldn't even mind him at 28. I mean, the guy is a fluid athlete, 1,783 yards last year. He's a monster. 9 out of 10 top NFL receivers over 6'3". This guy's 6'3", 220. He'd be a great.
Yeah,
do you know that? And I like Jordan Matthews a lot here too. Basically, to me, either or I would be much happier with than Lee. But Allen Robinson, I did a write-up on him a while back, and I found some fun stuff out about this guy. First, he hasn't played a lot. He did not play hardly any snaps his freshman year. I think he got like 2 plays on the field. And then he's leaving after his junior year. But also, if you go back into his high school career, he only played like 2 or 3 years I think it was 3 years of high school football. He missed his whole junior year. You guys want to know why? Growing pains. He grew 6 inches in 2 months.
Look at you going deep with the facts.
I know.
That's impressive.
I know. I went back to his high school website and then got into their discussion forums, and my man grew 6 inches in 2 months. He had to take a season off. He was in so much agony. That's crazy.
That is. Hey, that's great information. I'd love to have it.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Any last comments? Actually, we need to do a couple of plugs. Number one, everybody, we got a big round of applause. Erin Ford at Panther Drafter. He's going to be covering the draft tonight. Erin, why don't you tell them what you're going to be doing tonight and how the fans can find you?
Well, hey, you can follow me on Twitter at Panthers Drafter on Twitter. I'm there all the time. You can look me up. I'm also an analyst for draftek.com. That's draftek.com. It's a great website. There's 32 different team analysts. I'm fortunate enough to be the analyst for the Panthers on that site. After every single pick, we're going to re-simulate a mock draft. So as the surprises happen, the remaining players are going to be mocked out, and there's going to be a write-up and a grade given after every pick. I'm going to be doing the write-up for the Panthers pick and giving a grade. So hopefully I'll do no writing tonight as we trade back into the second round, and I'll be writing tomorrow. But I will be writing for all 7 rounds.
And you will be tweeting us and texting us any new insight for our stuff going on tonight. Joey, tell them a little bit about what's happening.
We are having the very first annual C3, #C3, Carolina Cat Chronicles Draft Party Hangout.
Live. Draft party.
Live.
I mean, this is going to be a real party. People are going to be coming and going. A lot of callers. What do you think about this concept, Joey? Are we revolutionizing draft parties?
We are definitely reinventing the draft party. We're bringing it into the computer age, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I get to hang with my best buddy of my entire life who lives in a different state who I never hang with.
That's right.
And I actually hang out with Joey and Erin more than people that live, like, beside me. So this is really cool, guys. CarolinaCatChronicles.com, bringing it tonight. I think it's going to be the premiere and the first live broadcasted, well, it's the first Panther one for sure, but draft party online. We're going to have callers coming in we're going to have representatives of the Bucks, the Falcons. We got a fantasy draft analyst coming in, to tell us about how these picks are going to affect the fantasy outlook of next season. We've got guys that are hardcore Panther analysts coming on, and we're going to try to bring in some special guests. But before I haven't gotten full commitment yet, but follow us, guys. Check us out. And you know what? Just peek in and out, and we'll be commentating. Maybe we can even get Erin to drop by just for a second.
I'll be in and out.
Nice. All right. Well, you can always find us at CarolinaCatChronicles.com and follow us on Twitter at cat_chronicles. Joey, tell them how to hit us up everywhere else.
On Facebook, you can find us on Facebook, Carolina Cat Chronicles. And please, like us on Google+, Carolina Cat Chronicles there as well. And and Instagram now. Isn't that right, Tony?
Yeah, now and
Instagram
actually
now.
we are running Instagram because of our boy Big Hop, who has hooked us up with the pro graphics, and another thing that we are leading the pack in right now because of Big Hop. So check us out, and actually that might be the big story of tonight for Cat Chronicles, is that we're bringing like ESPN style graphics tonight. So on that note, check us out, 8 o'clock live, and we're going to be doing it. And we'll be there all night, so stop by, have a good time. And that's it.
Thanks, guys.